Hi, everyone. Yeah, looking forward to telling you a bit about my personal investment philosophy in AI and how that works with philanthropy, and also show you an example of a company that I invested in that I'm actually also the CEO of, and yeah, kick off the philanthropy session, and also bring in the next gen topic, but you'll see more about that a little later. So when I think about sorry, the clicker seems not to be working. Yeah, yeah, working now. Okay. Just a bit of introduction about my company. So the vehicle for my investments is the Timmerman Group. It's a collection of businesses that is all in the change space. So changing mindsets and behavior. That's what it's all about. And we do that in very different ways. So one of them is technology. We use technology to change mindsets and behavior at scale. You can just reach lots more people than you can with, for example, consulting business, which we also do. We do architecture and design, so creating office spaces and campuses in such a way that it works with new work principles, agile work, etc. We do training programs to help people change mindsets and behavior, etc. And we work with lots of large companies. You see a couple of our clients down here. And the most important thing I want to talk about today is the digital part. So when I look at the AI revolution, I believe that the situation is quite clear. It's revolutionizing everything. It's disrupting the way we do business. It's disrupting your investment portfolios, even if you don't know it yet. It's disrupting everything in the world. And the complication there is that there is a reactive posture among a lot of investors, which makes a lot of sense, right? There's so much changing at the same time in AI that 2 weeks later, your investment may prove not to be a very good idea. But if you don't invest in that, then in AI, then you'll miss the bus. It's quite as simple as that. So you're in that dilemma. In order to be successful there, you need to do a lot of thinking and be really smart in certain areas of your decision making. And I'll show some of my personal insights that I'd like to share with you, how that's worked out for me so far. So one thing is, it's not enough to change your portfolio. The composition of your portfolio needs to, be increased with a larger portion of AI. Obviously, that's necessary. You need to make sure that you disrupt or divest AI vulnerable companies. If that's in your portfolio, then you need to change something about that. You need to invest in AI-driven companies that you understand. You really need to understand the big picture before you invest there. It goes to Charles's point earlier. If you don't understand the tech behind it, you don't understand the business, you don't understand the industry, then better don't go in there. But maybe you need to get to understand these things. You need to change the strategy of your portfolio companies. So if you're not invested in an AI-driven company per se, then you need to look at the strategy of your companies and change it so it really matches the world where it will develop with AI. So it's more about working with patents and marketing, not knowledge, right? It's just a different ballgame if knowledge is available so easily nowadays. You need to be more agile and be able to pivot, because changes are being made so quickly that if you are in the traditional speed, you're just going to lose at the end of the day. You need to update operations with AI-based solutions. So look at your process landscape in your companies. Have your managing boards do that and come back with a list of what are the processes we really need to change, because we're going to make the greatest benefit for the organization through AI, supporting our processes through AI. And last but not least, you need to change the culture of your portfolio companies. There can't be a division between the tech people and other parts of your organizations anymore. And that's a big change for a lot of the cultures in the organizations, because technology is not something that you give to the IT department anymore. In the AI age, that just doesn't work. It disrupts everything, all your processes, all your functions. And you need to make these changes in the culture of your organizations and your portfolio along the 4 change levers. You need actions that make people want to change their behavior. You need to give them the abilities to change. They need to have the culture, so they need to feel like they should change. The role models need to be in place. And last but not least, you need to change the structures and processes, so they must show the new behavior that works in an AI world. And your investor role in that is to be a role model in learning. If you think you're a role model because you already role modeled the desired behavior, then think again, because probably you have a little bit of a positive perception of yourself. So congratulations, that's really healthy, but it's not going to inspire anybody to change themselves, right? So if you're a role model in learning and you show vulnerably what you don't know and what you're trying to learn, you're going to inspire others to learn, and that's going to change the culture of your managing boards in your portfolio and the companies that they lead. So how do you create an investment portfolio that synergistically uses AI opportunities? So for one, AI is not really an industry. I've heard that term so many times in the last days. The AI industry, the AI industry. I don't believe it's an industry at all. AI is just orthogonal to everything else, right? It's a way of handling processes. It's a way of handling knowledge. It's just in everything that you do in every industry, and it's not an industry in and of itself. So you need to diversify your investments in AI-driven disruptors across industries, right? So if you find a challenger to an industry that you're invested in, you better invest in that challenger or build one yourself. You need to invest in AI-driven companies or funds that disrupt industries you're already invested in. That's a lot stronger if you have the knowledge of that industry and you're not a complete novice, right? And synergy normally feels cozy, but disruption doesn't. So disruption at the same time can be synergetic, right? If you have a call center agent and they're being fed the necessary information and hints by an AI to have a cross-selling going on or an upselling, then that may be across all the portfolio companies that you have, not necessarily just the call center that that person is working for, right? So how do you disrupt yourself? So number one is you really need to understand how your industry works and your industries if you're invested in multiple. And so you can create disruptive AI visions. So for example, what's retail? One perspective on that is logistics plus banking, right? Until somebody told me that big picture of retail, I didn't understand what retail actually was. And I find that this is really important, that you understand the big picture, because otherwise you just can't build that big vision. You need to find the courage to question what you know, how you do things, what your value add is, and you need to invest the energy to win the rat race that's inevitably going to happen. And here's an example how we're trying to do that in my portfolio. One company that we founded as a spin-off and that I'm invested in personally is Unhamster. So a lot of the things that we do are in helping people change mindset and behaviors, remember? So that also means coaching. Coaching individual leaders to become a better version of themselves. And that works in many aspects of life. So it's not only business coaching, it's also life coaching. And we want to scale that. So we're using AI to make that work for millions. AI coaching can be a force for good. And that's why I'm also giving this as an example for the philanthropy panel, it's because billions of people around the world experience personal challenges and also professional challenges every day, and they're really tough for them. And they don't often have what it really takes to get to the next level of their thinking and their behavior. It's often just a good conversation away, but do you have that therapist that helps you with that? Or do you feel like that's stigmatized? Do you have a friend that's qualified to help you through that thought process? Probably not. Do you have the money to afford hundreds of dollars an hour to hire a professional coach? Most people don't. And one of the effects of scaled coaching is to reduce the global mental health dilemma. It's a big topic. I don't want to go into too much details, but 1 billion people have a mental illness. I mean, that's every 8th person, and that's a very conservative estimate. A lot of money goes into this. It's about $200 billion a year just in the US, the cost of mental illness. So this is huge, and it's only one aspect of what we're talking about. We're not a therapy app, but we're in a space where that influences mental health. And the solution is coaching, right? So a lot of people who have tried coaching know how powerful it is. But I like to demo how it looks like when an AI does that. Yeah, can we take that a couple of minutes to show that AI? Yeah, all right. Yes. So just bear with me, a quick demo of how this works. And Marius, can you share your screen and so we can do that? Oh, you stop sharing, okay.
I cannot, but I can just, or can I, if you stop sharing?
Can you speak up?
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Great. Do you see something?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah? You can hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. I'm Alex Morgan, your friendly life coaching assistant. It's great to meet you. To help us get started, I'd like to ask you a few questions so I can get to know you better. Think of it as a fun little interview. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's all right. But I'd like to move on and not talk about something superficial. Can I just share my topic with you?
Of course, I'm here to support you in any way I can. Please go ahead and share your topic with me. I'm all ears.
So the conference that I'm at currently also has to do with NextGen, and that's about single family offices. And I used to be the next generation to my father's business and my family's business, and that really got me thinking. I'm not in contact with my father anymore, and the main reason for that is that we didn't get along over that business transition.
That sounds like a significant and challenging situation. It's understandable that being at this conference brings up a lot of thoughts and feelings, especially considering your past experiences with your family's business. How are you feeling about all of this right now?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel connected to my past, but at the same time, I feel very sad because I'm not in contact with my father anymore.
I can imagine how complex and bittersweet that must feel. It's like being pulled in two different directions at once. Sometimes these mixed emotions can be tough to navigate. Have you found any ways to cope with these feelings? Or is this something you're still working through?
I'm still working through it, but since I'm out of time for now, maybe we can delay that to a conversation later tonight, and I'll get back to you.
Absolutely. Take all the time you need. I'm here whenever you're ready to continue our conversation. Have a great rest of your day at the conference, and I'll be looking forward to catching up later tonight.
Thanks, Alex. All right. Thank you.
We have the rest of the panel. That was like a transition. So Jason?
Ask you a quick question.
Yeah, as you transition.
What's the base of the person you're chatting with? Where do you pull your information?
Yeah. So we have something what we call the cortex, which is a combination of lots of LLMs that we tap into, and we have quite a bit of technology behind it that's proprietary that I can't talk about in detail. But the way that we structure this conversation basically turns everything on its head, right? It's not the user asking questions anymore to the AI, but it's the AI asking questions and then sharing some thoughts, but mainly asking questions and guiding me through a process, right? So that's very different, the setup. It took a long time to set it up, yeah.
Well, maybe you can do a demo for us separately at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a number of panelists, and one is coming. Paula, if each of you could just introduce yourselves. Abby, you're sort of new to us, but not completely, from a different chapter in your life. Maybe you could start it off and say what you're doing now.
Sure. I was thinking about this morning. I was like, everyone has a different mission. Most of you here are strategizing how to invest your money. My problem is how to spend money. I work for a Giving Pledge, a philanthropist, and 3 years ago we rebranded the family foundation into a new one called Pax Sapiens. That stands for Pax is the great gun is the name of the goddess of peace, and Sapiens the Homo sapiens. So it stands for collectively as human beings we work towards peace. We have a few things going on. The main focus is conflicts prevention and peace building. One of the oldest members of our foundation, our network foundation, is called One Earth Future. We deployed loan-based programs in conflict-fragile settings, especially for small and SMEs, if they figure out solutions focusing on peace and security and stability of the region. And the new one I just mentioned, we primarily focus on conflicts prevention, including nuclear issues between the United States and China. We also work on global pandemic prevention. A specific field is the wildlife surveillance, tracking, and data sharing. And then because the founders, it's a couple, we also carry a women peace security program, among a few other things.
Segues. I'm afraid, I know your little one's being looked after, so I'm going to go next.
Yeah, I have to say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have excellent babysitters in school. So, hello? Okay. Test.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thank you for having me. My name is Paula Schwartz, and I met a couple of you yesterday at our house, and thank you for coming there as well. I'm here to share a little bit of my work today. I'm the daughter of a German investor and the heiress of a pharmaceutical empire that was started at the end of the Second World War. So my grandfather and his father, so my great-grandfather, they went to the front lines of Germany to sell medicinal supplies. And so we created an empire that grew into the second largest pharmaceutical company after Bayer. And as you can imagine, in such a company structure, the men have the say, women are usually staying at home and watching the children, guarding the culture. And so I didn't approve of that very much because I wanted to also do my own thing. And the company was sold in the 90s to a Belgian company that is at the stock market, UCB. And when the asset allocation happened, again, my two brothers were favored quite a lot. And sorry, and I'm the only girl of the next generation. So I started building startups and doing my own thing because I felt like there was not really a place for me. And I was quite successful with what I was building, but I was also quite radical which is why I had withdrawn to an island in Greece called Samos, which is where my mother is from because she's Greek. And so it just so happens that Samos is the closest point to Turkey. And then when Syria blew up, I had been working in the refugee camps and also building startups for mass migration with different companies for quite a number of years. And suddenly it just hit a momentum, right? Where we had 4 million people who first from Syria, they walked over to Turkey and then they swam to the island that I was, at in order to have peace and build the companies. And I ended up building 11 startups. Some of them were mobile hospitals that we deployed in 11 refugee camps together with partners like Cisco and Bayer as well. So I leveraged the contacts that I have to the pharmaceutical industry and really try to be innovative there. And at some point I realized, like, wait a second, I actually come from this huge family office and I'm really like not in touch at all with where I come from and knee deep in refugee camps, but maybe I should look into that. And so then I was at a point where I pulled out of my family structure. I was like, I need to have a say here with what is happening. And so the asset allocation was in real estate, it was in stocks, it was in venture capital, private equity, everything. And I had to learn a shitload in a very short period of time. And everyone told me that I was going to fail. Everyone told me that I would, not make it. And I've been looking at really excellent returns. I'm very grateful for that. And I have a family office, single woman family office, but I have, my 2 children now. I'm the only person in my family to have kids. So I have to look at, estate planning and all of this. And it's fun. I regularly invest with my family now. And just had my last exit with a machine learning company that actually was a fund. It was a machine learning fund called Fly Ventures, if you would want to look into it. They're actually opening their next fund now. And and I continue to build startups, which is why I'm building what I just presented last night. But I'm here as a family office today. It's a different hat.
Oh, I know. Well, you're new to us, Jason. We've known for a long time. Either one, or actually, you come through Anne, right?
Sure.
He's very tall, by the way. He doesn't.
So my name is Mike Westner. I feel like a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people in the room here. I'm coming from the nonprofit world. I'm the director of Free Law Project. If you have followed anything in the news in the last couple of years, you probably saw a lot of news about Justice Thomas, about the Supreme Court, about conflicts of interest. All of that reporting that you're hearing is coming from data, right? There's data behind that. And that's our data set. So we're the data behind all of that reporting. That's number one. Number two, I don't know if folks are familiar with this, but in my circles, it comes up all the time. There is a huge access to justice gap. The number of people who need legal assistance is huge. And a lot of people don't even know they need it. So it's kind of there's 2 parts to that. Do you need it? And do you know you need it? And as you may expect, legal is a place where AI is incredibly impactful. When you think about a lawsuit, it's really a series of conversations. And what have we seen with AI? Hey, it turns out chat is kind of a powerful topic, right? Beyond that, document summarization, right? Legal documents are, something you really need to summarize because they can be way too long. On top of that, the biggest collection of data in the US government is legal by far. The number of documents filed in federal cases, it's over 100,000 documents every day. The collection of documents is about 2 billion that are held by the US government. So if you want to look at tokens, you want to look at teaching your systems, you want to look at having a database that you can use to train your model, it's there, right? happens to be behind a paywall. That's where our advocacy comes in at the organization. We're working on getting that paywall torn down. It's the biggest paywall in the world. You want to buy that data I just talked about? It's going to cost you $1 to $2 billion to the US government. The government is the one hosting that paywall. And that's just on the federal side. There's also state port. So we are collecting data, we're putting that out there, and we're trying to build the legal infrastructure, the infrastructure for the legal world. And so there's a lot of legal startups right now. There's a Google query somebody shared with me. It's like, in URL pricing, and ends with AI. So every domain that has a pricing page that ends in .ai goes on for pages, right? The legal world is blowing up with AI. And all of those companies need infrastructure behind it. They need data and they need software. And we've been building this for about 10 years, essentially for this moment. And to be honest, capitalism is great, capitalism is good, but why do we care about capitalism? Because it's good for people, right? At the end of the day, we're all trying to live happy lives. And so we are trying to use this data, move this ball forward in order to fix the access to justice gap, right? And so that people can get access to legal services. So legal services can become more competitive, lower priced, better, more accessible. So we have a million little initiatives I can talk about, whether it's, exposing conflicts within the courts at the very top. That led to a Pulitzer for ProPublica, or it's just gathering the raw data that we've been doing for 10 years by scanning books. Love to talk about all of that, but it's a free law project. We have a lot of things we're working on, and
Well, one of the things is after Jason's, want to see how can we help you individually? We'll come back to that.
Sure.
Jason, your paradigm.
Sure. You guys hear me? Right. It's an honor and pleasure to be back again, Mark, since I guess Newport, New York City, Miami, and Naples. We had quite a bit of fun. Besides family and friends, my own kids my two next gens are working young adult Gen Zs, and they're officially both New Yorkers now. So it gives me two more reasons to go to New York a bit more often. I have two companies, finally came out of semi-stealth. One company is called AdZero, ADXERO, and we're doing something extremely disruptive in a massive, massive industry. So very exciting. My family business, 3EQ, a lot of you know me as a chief mentor of NextGen leaders. That's what I do. My joke is that I make people very dangerous in a very good way, right? Help them prepare well, help them achieve the most important life stage goals, but also raise their, what I call the long-term success and well-being arc, so that over the long term, they're gonna make a lot more money, they're happier, more connected, more skillful, better in the spirit, better mindset. It's my 4S and 3Q model. My two daughters, as part of my small army of former students out there, I got a couple of hundred of them, millennials and Gen Zs in particular. They're 27, 23, and one works as a Google senior software engineer, one's a Salesforce Slack, also security software engineer, even though she graduated Wharton recently, but chose a road less traveled. But I think they're gonna become your C-suite leaders in the future. The most important thing is, and I speak about this all the time, right? It's about your critical thinking, your communication skills and your leadership skills, holistic, achieve more, happier, make a lot more money as well. Philanthropy, I'm very big on philanthropy. I'm a St. Jude Advisory Council member for the past 4.5 years. I love helping these guys. Number one. Number two, I'm a partner for Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And number three, probably most impactful, but I don't have to do much. I'm a bit of a senior statement now. I'm part of a G20. So I've been a B20 member for a long, long time. The B20, think of them as the Global Business Advisory Council for the G20. So we put together policy recs, and we get the attention of the presidents and prime ministers and the governments. And I've been in the Future Work, Employment, Skills, and Education Task Force for the past 10 years so far. One of the few Americans get appointed every year. And I learned quite a bit. I could speak a lot about that. I guess I'll leave it at that for now.
As we go back around, I mean, you're sort of a next gen. Sounds like with the AI discussion, you've been estranged from or was that just for the purposes of the AI demo?
Sorry, I didn't get.
You were talking about being estranged from your father. We've heard a story of you're sort of reconciling, it sounds like, and learning again.
I mean, you talked about people being dangerous, and I think it's really important, even if you have disagreements with your family, like every family has its problems, but it is known that by every third generation, usually inheritance gets lost. And the biggest burner of inheritance and money per se are legal costs and is the dissection of the money. So it's good to pool the money. It's good to try and keep it together and to learn from each other. And for me, the fact that so many women were excluded before me within the family office really gave me a lot of insight as to how to operate as a woman within the family structure, if not the office, So I think I was still able to build up on people who unfortunately had like nervous breakdowns or had, didn't survive as a woman in this economy. And so that's why I think that it's very important to build up on what they were fighting for as well within a family.
And then Abby, your family has been part of the Giving Pledge. Does that mean they don't give any, they sort of don't leave it any or much to the next gens?
This is a very interesting story because I don't know how much you know about the couple. They don't have children. They don't have grandchildren. So when they don't. Unfortunately, the daughter and the son both have passed. It's a very unfortunate reality my founders are facing, and that's why they are dedicated the lifetime wealth to peace and security.
So there's the next gen, the whole element. We'd love to have a longer conversation, but I think the one last question, at least for me, is how can we help you on your individual, the legal cause? I don't know. You yourself, our community. If you could maybe just speak to that element, yeah.
Yeah, I would say for one, like, don't be mad at people who inherit money because, there is like this aggression towards those who are born into wealth. And yes, it's extremely unfair that the world works this way, but it's not comfortable also to be in this situation because we do see climate change, we do see political injustice, we do see 99% not having anything and the 1% having so much, and we didn't create that shit. And we're not here to keep that shit. So don't be mad at people who were born into this bullshit. Yeah. And so we all really need to work together and try and, transform. And because you said capitalism is good for people, I fundamentally disagree. I don't want to be part of capitalism. I definitely want to change it. I'm building something that is here to change it. Please come and talk to me about it later if you want. I'm not here to self-advertise. But I think the primary thing is that we really need to look at each other with respect. And as an heir, sometimes I personally also don't feel respected, but I understand that it's hard for people because they have needs, they're not covered. And I just think maybe this is a room where you can address this respectfully.
I think part of my reason being here is after I started my job, we're trying to foster a new type of partnership. I call it the PAX P3, public, private, and philanthropy, because I think I've seen a lot of issues in the nonprofit world where I guess we don't have the pressure to receive the feedback loop, whether it's generating profit or whether it is to make money. So because of that, I think we don't really have especially what the tech world is having, the discipline, the doctrine of maximizing optimization. Part of it is I want to get feedback from you guys, what we can do to better serve our mission. And meanwhile, we are one of a few hybrid foundation. We're operational and we're grant making. So if you know any, besides the Giving Pledge Circle, if you know any organizations are working in a similar field, please let me know, talk to me, I will be around.
I don't know. I would presume to have advice for y'all. You guys know your work better than much better than I do. The one observation I have had being in sort of the nonprofit sector and building this infrastructure for as long as I have, is I see a lot of investment in individual companies that reinvent the wheel. And I think there's value to that in some cases. But I don't see a lot of looking at it in a more cohesive way. So in the legal sector, for example, you'll see people doing the same thing over and over again. And I talk to all of these companies because they kind of, I'm sort of in the middle of a lot of these things. And I tell them, you know, hey, I know someone, I can't say who, is doing something like that. Would you like to talk? And often it's treated as a zero-sum game. They don't want to do it. They want to build it themselves. There's no investment pooling in order to build it once and build it really well and share it with the community. Even when that would be, you know, particularly beneficial for the whole legal sector and for us all, right? So I think that's the one observation I have there. In a personal way, I have to put out a plug that we're doing a capital raise in order to build out better legal service tools. So right now, all the good legal tools are out of reach. They're prohibitively expensive, except to people that work in buildings like this one. And so we want to bring that to everybody. And it wasn't possible before now. It was simply impossible. AI makes it possible. The tools that are out there now, they cost a fortune because they cost a fortune to build, right? They have hundreds of lawyers working around the clock for decades to build the tools now. You can recreate those with AI that are pretty good. And so that needs to happen, and we're working on that. So if anybody's interested in that, I'd love to talk. And I think those are my only points on that. So.
And maybe you do the wrap up, Jay. Michael, how can we help you?
So if you think that coaching is a powerful tool for the good and AI can do something good, then maybe you want to help us scale this. So I'm looking for co-investors who are in for the long game with this, with me.
Mark, what's your question again?
How can we help you?
Oh,
How can you help us help you?
interesting.
Help us?
Well, you know, core to my mission is to really groom next-gen leaders, right? Because I believe that if leadership gets better, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, government, everything gets better. So it starts with your spirit, and then you have to keep upgrading your mindset and your soft skill set coupled with your hard skill set. Your hard skill set you get obsolete pretty quickly, but the soft skills, right? Like my 4 cornerstones in my mentorship framework is critical thinking, right? Curiosity, communications, and collaboration. I'm continuously improving myself, learning. And I think what's your name?
Michael.
What Michael is doing, is very valuable. Now, your AI coaching platform will help to a certain extent. But what I do is that I get so deep into people's souls, minds, and even physiology and their life, right? I know the secrets in their life so well, so I could guide them and really bring out the best in them and inject into, like, uplift their spirit and keep it there. And then their mindset, their 4S and 3EQ, visionary, story, character, strategy, soft skills, execution ability, and also what I call your pragmatic, emotional, social leadership intelligence, 3EQ. And that's horizontal honing in addition to what I call vertical life stage goals achievement. Because especially we are driven here, right? Wealthy families, we all goal achievement oriented. We want to make even more money, preserve our wealth, and become even more successful in business. Absolutely, that's goal achievement. But what I see missing all the time in families, and I see it from the inside all the time, right? Is that you see intergenerational conflict, right? Relationships. They don't communicate well. I see that all the time, right? And in the 3rd generation, the wealth like dissipated, blah, 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 right? But I tell you, but imagine if you could upgrade, it's like the law of independence. You could raise a probability from 0.5 to 0.9. 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9 is better than 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5, right? So intergenerational, what can you do to prepare that in the family, individually and as a group. And then that greases a path for succession planning. I'm telling you, that greases a path for legacy builders. Last week, I spoke at a Legacy Builders conference. It was fantastic. All we talked about is legacy building.
So with that said, we do want to go into breakouts, but we're going to take a break before the breakouts. So you can, and I'll explain where the breakouts are, but people are asking what's happening tomorrow. Sanjeev put this together with a few others, and it's an amazing program. And I want him to, before people break and like leave, that they know what we're doing tomorrow. So if you don't mind sharing that, and then we're going to do a breakout with some of these themes. We have a few rooms that are already set aside. We'll all come back and talk about that.
All right, thank you guys. My name is Sanjeev. I helped put together the event for tomorrow. So just tomorrow we'll start earlier. 7:30 is networking. So 7 a.m. you can show up, of course, but 7:30 is when you truly have to show up, and 8 o'clock is we really get going. Where Dr. Peter Norvig from the Human Centered AI Institute, he's a renowned Stanford AI professor, wrote the textbook on it. He will be talking, and then we have Dr. Dikai way back there. That's him. He and Peter Norvig, who used to be roommates together, is that correct? Something along those lines? Housemates. That's right, yeah. So it's going to be a reunion of sorts. They'll have a nice interactive discussion with the group tomorrow. And then we'll move to a lab tour of a fab, which will be exciting. It's in the next room, next building rather. And then we move back to the first room where Dan Armburst will walk us through the state of the union of semiconductors. And then we'll have another entrepreneurship discussion at 12, and then we break after that.